If you've ever wondered what type of running shoe is best for you, this video can help you work through the weeds and find out what's going to be best for your foot, your body, and your running. Okay, so there's generally three types of feet, and there's a little bit of gray zone between each. So let's walk through, because depending on your foot type is going to make a difference on what type of shoe you choose. Now, the first thing is if you have what's a neutral arch. So how do you know if you have a neutral arch? Generally, if you've ever had your feet wet and you walk around on pavement, you'd see a nice little curvature on the inside of the foot, and you see a majority of the foot is laid out on that wet footprint. Now, if you have a neutral arch, that's good because you can adapt to a lot of different types of surfaces and different types of shoes. So with a neutral arch, you generally want to stay in a neutral shoe. So this is something that's not overbuilt, has a ton of support. It's relatively flexible in all aspects. Now, when you have this neutral arch, it's really important that you have good strength. If you don't have good strength, what happens to the arch is that it's flexible. It can move, and it'll actually start rolling too far in or too far out as you're running. So you want to make sure that you have really good strength if you have a neutral arch. This is something we work on all the time. So if you want some help with strengthening your feet, strengthening your balance in your body, make sure you check out our strength training through RunSmart. There's a link down below. You can get all your access through the RunSmart app or website and be able to train injury-free and run fast. So this is our neutral arch, but then we have two zones on each side of this. The first zone, we'll go to the low arches. So if you have a low arch, now this can be varied between a lot of different types of severity. So you can have a low arch that is like pancake flat, rolling in on the edge, and generally they struggle with a lot of issues with plantar fascia, Achilles, posterior tib tendonitis, things like that. Low arches are okay. Low arches mean that the foot's probably a little bit more flexible than it needs to be, but with the right strength, you can actually overpower the low arch. You don't, like, generally we see a lot of people, low arch, oh, let's put an insert in that, let's support it, let's do a lot of things for it. Your foot should lower down as you go to the ground. As you run and walk, it should flatten out. The trouble is a lot of times when people don't have the ability to flatten their arch, they get into trouble. So we don't want to block the low arch. We don't want to necessarily build it all up. We want to make sure that it's nice and supported, but generally the muscles are the best thing to support that. So we want to focus on strength here as well. So low arch, they usually do really well with a neutral shoe as well. And they actually need more strength to stay healthy than maybe someone with a neutral arch, because it's just more flexibility here, so they need more strength. If you're a runner with a low arch and you struggle with a lot of issues, you can try and insert temporarily while you build your strength, but it's really important to know that you just don't need to throw an insert in here. You don't need custom orthotics all the time, unless it's really off the deep end, you have like a really what's called a pes cavus foot and really flat. Now, these two are really flexible feet. They do really well with some good strength. But then we have another group, which is the high arch group. Now, where the other two are generally flexible, a high arch is usually rigid. And that is tough to deal with because when you have a rigid foot, you lose your shock absorption. Every time you take a step, you can't absorb into the ground the right way. It's a little bit stiffer, and that force can go up into the knee and into the hip. So generally with our high arch people, we like to almost, like if you have a really high arch, you want to bring the ground up to them. So generally they do a little bit better with an insert or more of a shoe that has some support to it because their foot can't get to the ground. So you bring the ground up to them. So a rigid, high arches are generally more rigid foot and ankles. They generally like to have a little bit more support for them when you're running. But here the focus is flexibility. So you want to work on flexibility through the foot, mobility, flexibility. You guys get the point. You get the point. You want to work on flexibility here because that's going to give you the ability to try to loosen up that foot, gain mobility. Again, we have all of this inside the RunSmart app, so if you're looking to see what you want to do and find the way to get your foot to mold to the right type of shoe so you can run fast and injury-free, check it out. But just know, inserts aren't the only answer. You don't have to throw them in every pair of shoes. If you're hurt or not hurt, go to your strength, go to your flexibility. Check out RunSmart if you want some help with that. Hope this helps, and thanks for watching.